Hi, this is JP, and we have Jeff joining us here, and Lars, and we're going to talk about TTL flash and some of the ways to get your camera off the...
I was leaving.
That's a photo thing.
He's out of here.
I'm out of here.
It is a photo thing.
I lost him.
We did lose him. Okay, we're going to talk about TTL flash. The idea is, how do you get these things, even though they have a hot shoe on them, and you stick them on your camera, and everyone loves that, it's the worst place to have them. I mean, obviously there's things you can do to bounce them around from behind, to soften them and all that kind of stuff, but if you really want to give them, and I can't hit the button there, there we go. If you really want to get these things into a place that are going to be of value to you, then you've got to get them off the camera. So let's talk about the two ways to do that. Jeff, you're an expert on this stuff. So what do you think? We've got a Pocket Wizard version here to do it with, and has some great features we'll talk about, and then we got Canon's version. Does Nikon make this as well?
Nikon does make that also. Yeah, Nikon's been doing it for a long time. This is kind of Canon's first venture into really radio trigger off camera.
Okay.
Like Pocket Wizard's done for a long time.
Okay.
The only real difference that we were talking about a little while ago was the mainly the distance that these things will run. The Canon works full TTL off camera. You can run up to 3 flashes off camera with the SD3 on camera. Some of the Canon cameras, like the 7Ds, have this built in also. Oh, they do? You don't necessarily have to have this, but you can only run up to 3 flashes off that too. So some of the 7D Mark II does, and some of the newer cameras. The whole idea of this is you can 5Ds, pro cameras, none of them have it, so you have to use that.
Yeah. So we just happen to have a camera here, so we can put this on our camera. So we're going to stick this on the camera, lock it on, which I do love this little locking mechanism on the Canon. So walk us through. We have this little, what do you call this again?
STE3.
So the STE3 is going to shoot both of our strobes here that we have that are off camera, so we can get them away from the camera and fire them from this, and also ratio them, right, or dial them up and down power-wise.
So basically all you should have to do is once you're set up in TTL, we've got our slave set up here on flash, and look for our master setup. Once you go through and hit your setup here, everything will link. You'll get green lights, ready lights will come on.
So I'm not green yet here, so I'm not linked on this one yet.
You're not linked on here at all. So you're gonna have to go into your setup on as far as mode goes, go into TTL, ETTL, and then hold in your link, and then keep going. Once you're linked here, green light, we're all linked.
Perfect.
Everything will read. We should.
So now this says A. Can you set this one on B? Yeah. And you have. Okay, so this is your A flash,
so
B
it's
flash.
our A flash, and we'll have to see because we probably have everything set on A. So if you want to set this to A now, or let's see if we've got B setting here, and we'll get a fire off this. So everything's linked together. We're reading all. It'll read up to 3 flashes. We've got 2 going right now. Boom, full TTL flash should come out of both of them. As long as you have everything set to flash B, and we're on flash A. So we want to set this back over to B so that they'll read together.
Oh, you want, so we don't want them separately?
No, we don't want them separate. We want them on the same channels on these 2.
Okay, so I'm going to go in here to mode, right? Okay, and so under the GR, we just changed the, I change this to the same as both of them are on B.
Both are B.
And then, what do I hit?
Once you're set in there, just hit your set. Everything should be set to go.
Then I hit set,
and then boom, we should be getting a flash from both.
Now this is going to give the power equally from both of them, right?
And it is reading from the flash.
So now if I want this one to be my key light, and I want to dial that down as a rim or a fill light, how do I dial that one down?
You can do it right on the actual flash, just going through your mode settings. So mode, we were in ETTL. We're going to switch over manual, multi, and then settings. Now we've got our A, B, and C channels on there. We should be able to dial these down on each individual one.
See, I think this has to be A and B. And now you're...
Well, you could do 2 separate channels, but we just need to basically get in here and be able to set our time, because you're right, we'd have A, B, and C channel on our flashes. So that would be B, this would be A on this side.
If we want to dial them down, do we do that?
Yeah, we'd have to, because otherwise they're going to be, we're only going to be reading off of channel A. That's only going to control this one. That would be channel B. If you're in TTL, you don't need to do your compensation. The flashes will read full TTL. That's just if you want to go through and do your compensation on the flash.
So you're this basically becomes a combination of TTL, and you're starting to ratio them a little bit.
Correct.
You're going to push this one down, saying that I'm happy when it's a stop under. You know, I'm happier when it's 2 stops under.
And then obviously if you move your distances, you got to change everything too.
So do I need to be on B with this then?
That would be on either B or A. You can choose. So if we go in and just do our guide number setting, we can basically tell all the flashes we want to go by thirds of a stop. Okay. Otherwise we should be able to go through and let's see, ETTL,
now
ETTL set, and then we can do our compensation here. So we can go by thirds of a stop if we want to. Set it so we want a little over set. We're going to go back in, bring it down to our next one. Hit set, bring that one down, maybe a stop on the extra setting. Well, we've got both set. 1 over, 1 under. So this should be at 1 stop under. That should be at 1 stop over.
Perfect.
Yep, we did.
There we go. All right, so here's my sense. Okay, so this is Canon's version. This is a way to get the camera, the flashes off from the camera. You can dial them up and down so you have some control. Now let's go back to this is where I started doing this stuff from. If I put these on the Pocket Wizard, which is the TT5, this now basically becomes a camera. It's now talking to the flash. So let's turn this one off, and let's put this one on the camera. This is a TLIC Pro Flash, which I actually love these little things from my Strobies. They have an interior battery that is going to be handed to me right now that goes in there, so it'll power these guys. So this is a lithium battery that's, no, ion battery? Lithium-ion battery goes in here. And I just wish they made a, like we talked about, a
double A
cage for those, so that would be really nice. But now what you've got is that this becomes like the camera, and it'll talk to a lot of these different flashes and be able to dial them up and down this TTL mode. And on the camera here, and you talk about this, Jeff, you know this, or do you know this?
A little bit, yeah. Okay. I mean, well, you've got your same type of setup you did on the Canon. The difference is really going to be accuracy, a little more distance on the Pocket Wizard, and like you said, you don't have to stick with the manufacturer's flash is what's nice.
So the advantage of this is you don't have to use manufacturer flashes. You can put these off wherever you want them.
Right.
Gives you a lot of different options. Right from here, we can now start to dial the power up and down on each individual flash. And what I love about this is it's just fast.
Yeah,
you know,
it is. You're not
you're punching into the buttons to get into the Canon one is really slow. This I just look up, I dial it down, I shoot, I can take a look at it and see what I've got. So I think this is a lot faster, a lot easier to use. But look at the cost issue you got here. You've got what, $200 for this for the
almost
TT5?
$225.
$225. So you got 2 of these at $225. So you got $450 just in just the receivers. This is about the same cost as this. It's around $300. You got $75 for this, $190 I think for the
bucks.
So when you got the Mini TT1, it's going to talk to the TT5s, but this will just give you the straight TTL. If you want to race them, you got to put this on there, right?
Right.
Okay. So once we do that, we're now into about $300. So we're in about $300, about the same as this. This is just an expensive setup. You got $450 for the 2 receivers. You got $300 for the trigger. Whereas this is about $300 and you don't need anything else. So this is more expensive. But this does give you the option of putting any different strobes on it. You don't have to have the Canon strobes. So in that way you can offset some of the cost of this. This little by Pro Flash, the TLIC is $250. So it's a lot less money. So you could compensate some of that in buying these aftermarket strobes, not the Canon strobe. So the advantage is less equipment, probably less money, but you have to have Canon flashes. Disadvantage, I don't like the menu on this to have to go in to train it.
You're still push button back.
I mean, I was shooting just last week, sun was going down. We got there, we had exactly about 5 to 8 minutes to shoot this thing. And the sun's dropping fast, the sunset was gorgeous, and we're racing and we're dialing this thing down, I'm shooting like crazy. And the 2 things about that experience that I just drove me crazy. One was that my flashes, both of them, ran out of power because I'm shooting so fast. I blasted through the power they had, but that's a TTL thing, But the advantage I liked was that I was able to ratio from this really fast. Click, click. I mean, it was working really fast. I love that a lot. I haven't worked with this, so I'll have to work with this and see how it works. And
you can get used to it, but you're right. I mean, it's still with the dials on top. It's a simple system. This is.
Yeah.
Once you figure everything out, get everything dialed in, it's great.
So this is kind of a combination. This is using TTL flash, but giving you the option to dial them up and down just a little bit. So you're not letting the flash decide exactly what kind of power it's going to have. All right, anything else we should say about TTL flash?
No, except that when we were having the conversation earlier, it was basically we were talking about cost on this stuff and studio strobes. It's just the size, the power. You can carry your whole studio setup, 3 flashes and everything else in a small camera bag. So
yeah. That's really the advantage.
That is what's nice about them, yeah.
Yeah, 3 of these is about the same, footprint as a monoblock or less actually. So it's a lot easier to travel with them. There's no doubt about that. Much easier to travel with these. Power-wise though, they're low. It's 50 watt seconds versus you get into a 200 or 400 watt second monoblock.
Right.
But the only monoblock out there right now that's really effective price-wise is the Baja B4 that has a lithium battery. You know, that's a whole nother, but these are battery portable, and that's what makes them nice. And small, you can stick them, I mean, I've stuck these before in a car, you know, I put them, you just use them in a lot of different places, very easy to work with because they're so small. And this makes them really nice because now you can use them off camera and use that just as part of the process. So you can take these, I have done this, you can trigger your other, just your regular pocket wizards and one of these. So you're using regular strobes and you mix in one of these.
Right.
If you want to use this in like a light or you know, a lamp or something, you can have a combination. So it's a really nice setup. Are you happy, Jeff?
Happy.
Really happy?
Happy enough once we get all the buttons figured out.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right,
So there's TTL Flash. So remember, on this segment, if you want to see this entire segment, go to theslantedlens.com where you see it all tied together. If you want to just see this segment, you go to YouTube. So check it out. Thanks so much.
And the podcast. Don't forget the podcast.
And the podcast.
Podcast.
And the podcast.